is Math, Chapter 11, Lesson 2, where we are going to convert customary units of length. So we're working with those same units of length that we were talking about yesterday, inches, feet, yards. Today we're adding miles. But we're not going to need our rulers today because we're not going to actually be measuring things. We're just going to be thinking about in our mind, let's say if I have 2 yards of ribbon and I want to know, well, how many feet is that, or how many inches is that? How I go back and forth between those measurements. That's called converting. I might convert yards to feet or feet to inches. And the way I do that is by knowing how many inches are in a foot, how many feet are in a yard, and I have to multiply. So for example, if I had 2 yards of ribbon and I wanted to know how many feet that is, I have to know that there's 3 feet in a yard. So then I would take 2 times 3 because I have 2 yards and each yard has 3 feet in it, and that would give me 6. So that means if I have 2 yards of ribbon, that's 6 feet long. And so this chart on page 703 at the top is going to be very helpful. This is my reference to always look back and help me remember that there's 12 inches in a foot, 3 feet in a yard. We're now learning our miles. There's 5,280 feet in 1 mile. And what I like to do is add some extras to this chart, just that are good things to remember. One thing I like to add is that 1 yard, since it's 3 feet and there are 12 inches in each foot, means there are 36 inches in every yard. And then another good thing to know for miles, it tells me how many feet, but there are also 1,760 yards in 1 mile is another good thing to know. So I usually like to add those to this chart. So these examples that they take us through are going to walk us through how I do this, how I go back and forth between these measurements. And typically I'm going to be multiplying when I do that. So example 1, Marla's dog, Corey, loves to jump into water. Corey's longest jump is 7 yards. How many feet are in 7 yards? So it says you know the number of yards and you want to find the number of feet. And so if I look back to my chart, or if I remember in every yard there is 3 feet, in order to figure out how many feet are in 7 yards, I would take 7 times 3 because I have 7 yards and each one has 3 feet in it. So that we know is 21. So that means there are 21 feet, and this should say in 7 yards. They got a typo there. And they drew this picture here for us. 7 yards, and then they split each yard into 3 pieces, 3 feet, and counting all those boxes would give us 21. Let's go on to example 2 on the back side. Here, it wants us to convert 3.5 feet to inches. Now, don't be tricked by this half. It's actually not as hard as it might seem. Okay? So, 3.5 feet is what I have, and I'm changing that to inches. So, what I want to remember is that there are 12 inches in every foot. So here's how I do this one when they've got that, and we've got a mixed number in here. I want to do the whole number first. So if I have 3 feet and there's 12 inches in each foot, right there I have 3 times 12, which would be 36 inches to begin with. Then I need to deal with this extra half that's there. So by knowing that there are 12 inches in 1 foot, I can say, okay, if I have an extra half foot, all I have to do is take half of this 12. Half of 12 is 6. So if I have 3.5 feet, I have to take what I got for 3 feet and add on that extra half, or 6 inches. So 36 plus 6 more would be 42. So that means in 3.5 feet, there are 42 inches. So now we get to the guided practice on the bottom, and several of our problems on our assignment are going to look like this, where they give you a conversion chart, and they give you one of the measurements, and you have to find the other one. And then this third column is just what we call an ordered pair that gives you the two numbers that we used in the columns before. So in this number 1 chart, they give me the feet and I have to find the inches. So I'm going to be using that same reference reminder from up top. In every foot there are 12 inches. And our ordered pairs here for the first couple even give us some clues here. Because 1 foot we know is equal to 12 inches, so that's my answer here. So you can see the ordered pair is 12, 1, because that's the two numbers we use in those first two columns. So now if I have 2 feet, that's 2 sets of 12. 2 times 12 is 24, and that's what our ordered pair is, 24 and 2. So you just put those two numbers in parentheses with a comma in between. Now, if I have 3 feet, or 3 sets of 12 inches, 3 times 12 is 36. So then my ordered pair is 36, 3. And then 4 feet, 4 sets of 12 inches, 4 times 12 is 48. So my ordered pair would be 48, 4. Now they're giving me the inches, and I have to find yards. So this is one of the rare ones where I'm not going to be multiplying. I'm going to actually have to work backwards or divide to figure out how many yards that is, because they're giving me the smaller measurement first. Well, on our reference chart, we added that 1 yard is equal to 36 inches. So if I remember that from that front page, I can fill this one in because I know that 36 inches is 1 yard. So my ordered pair would be 1 and 36. Now I just need to figure out the rest here. So there's a couple different ways you could do that. You could do 108 divided by 36 to see how many yards that is. Or you could start adding 36s together and see how many it takes to get to 108. I'll see if I've got room over here and I'll start that maybe. So 36, I'm going to start up here and use all the space I can. 36. So this is going to tell me how many inches would be in 2 yards, and we'll see what it takes to get to 108, how many yards that would be. So 6 and 12. So 2 yards would be 72, so I'm not there yet. I'm looking for 108. So I need to add another 36, another yard, 3 yards. Here's my 108. So that was 3 36s added together, so that means that's 3 yards. So my ordered pair is 3 and 108. And I'll just keep going down here. I'll add a 4th one and keep going until I get to 216. So that means 4 yards would be 144 inches. Let's add a 5th one. Would be 5 yards would be 180 inches. We're not quite there yet. We'll add a 6th one. Here we go. There's 216. So that was 6 36s, or 6 yards added together. So that makes this ordered pair 6 and 216. We'll keep going to get to 252. And we hit it already. So that means that was 7. So my ordered pair there would be 7 and 252. So for most of these, we're not going to have to do that and work backwards that way. Most of these we're going to be multiplying, but here's one way you could do that to figure that out. Let's go look at some more examples. So we've got some more charts here where we're doing the same thing. They give me one measurement, I find the missing one. So for number 3, they give me yards and I have to find the feet. So the one I want to remember there is that 1 yard has 3 feet in it. So that means I'm going to take each of these times 3 to see how many feet that is. So if I have 2 yards, 2 times 3 is 6. That means there's 6 feet. So my ordered pair is 2, 6. If I have 3 feet, I take, or 3 yards, and each one has 3 feet in it, I take 3 times 3. So there would be 9 feet in 3 yards. So 3, 9. 4 yards, 4 times 3 is 12, so there's 12 feet in 4 yards. And 5 times 3 is 15, so 5, 15. Next one gives me yards, but now I'm going to inches instead. So this is going to be a little bit more work, because remember we wrote down that 1 yard has 36 inches in it. So I'm going to have to take each of these times 36. So I might need to find some scratch paper or work in the margins wherever you've got some space. So my first one, 36 times 2. I'll have to think back to our multiplication chapter here. 2 times 6 is 12. Carry that 1. 72. So in 2 yards there are 72 inches. So 2, 72. Then I do 36 times 4 for the next one. So 4 yards has 144 inches in it. 36 times 5. Or you could use repeated addition if you like that better. That would work also. 5 yards has 180 inches. And 36 times 8 for my last one. $288 inches. Next, I'm going from feet to inches. Since there are 12 inches in each foot, is what we should remember there. I will be multiplying each of these feet by 12 to see how many inches that is. And these ones should be ones that I've got memorized. So think back to our multiplication charts. 3 times 12 would be 36 inches. 6 times 12 would be 72 inches. 9 times 12 would be 108 inches. And 12 times 12 would be 144. And for this last chart, they give me miles. This is going to be a little bit trickier here. And they're looking for feet. So our chart told us that 1 mile, oops, I ran out of space there. It's 5,280, oh, there's not room for my 0. 5,280 feet. So I know what this one is, 5,280. And that's what my ordered pair is. Whoops, 5,280 goes first. And then 1. So, I might want to do some repeated addition here, because it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. Or you could multiply 5,280 times each of those. But I'm just going to go right here and do some repeated addition. Two miles has 10,560 feet in it. It's going to be hard for me to fit this in here with my pen. 10,560 and 2. And I'll just add a third one on. So 3 miles would be 15,840 feet. And add a fourth one on. $21,120 feet in 4 miles. This is getting kind of messy, sorry guys. So you might want to use some scratch paper for this work, in other words, so your paper doesn't look like mine. Now, for the next ones, instead of a chart, they're just giving me one measurement, and I have to find the missing one. So for number 7, they give me 11 feet, and I have to find how many inches that is. So knowing that there's 12 inches in a foot, I would take 11 times 12, and that would give me 132 inches as my missing number. For number 8, if I have 18 yards and I want to know how many feet that is, I know that there's 3 feet in a yard. So I would take 18 times 3, that would give me 54 feet. Number 9 is giving us one of those mixed numbers again. 2 1/3 yard equals how many feet? So remember, I do the whole number first. So there's 3 feet in every yard. 2 yards would have 2 times 3, that would have 6 feet in it. Then I have to do this 1/3. So if I take that yard that's 3 feet and split it into 3 pieces, 1/3 of that would be 1 extra foot. So I would add that other one on. That would be 7 feet. Number 10 wants to know how many times longer is 1 yard than 1 foot. Well, since there's 3 feet in a yard is 3 times longer. How many times longer is 1 mile than 1 foot? Well, since there's 5,280 feet in a mile, that's how many times longer it is. How many times shorter is 1 inch than 1 foot? Since there's 12 inches in a foot, it's 12 times shorter. And how many times shorter is 1 foot than 1 yard? Since there's 3 feet in a yard, a foot is 3 times shorter than a yard. Let's take a look at some story problems. Ramiro sits 5.5 feet from the bookshelf. Michelle sits 64 inches from the bookshelf. It wants to know who sits closer. So I'm going to have to figure out, change one of these so that they're both the same measurement, and then I can tell who is closer. So I'm going to take Ramiro's measurement and turn this into inches. So I know there's 12 inches in a foot. So starting with my whole number, if I have 5 feet times 12 inches, that would be 60. And then if I have another half foot, I take half of 12, which is 6. So that means Ramiro is 66 inches from the bookshelf, and Michelle is only 64. So Michelle is a little bit closer. Next one, the Costa family hiked a trail that was 2 miles in one direction. How many feet was the hike round trip? That's a close thing to pay attention to. So if they went 2 miles one direction, but it's round trip, it's a total of 4 miles, 2 miles there and 2 miles back. And I'm turning that into feet. So if I know there were 5,280 feet in a mile, and I'm hiking 4 miles, I would take that times 4. 4 times 0, 0. 4 times 0. Whoops. 4 down here. 2 up here. 8, 10. So, whoops. I think I did something wrong here. Okay. Everybody makes mistakes here. I did wrong. I did 8 times 3 instead of 8 times 4. This should be 32. Let's see if I can get it to erase. Well, ignore my multiplying for now, because I did that wrong. To write, well, it should be 21,120 feet. Sorry about that. I'm not paying close enough attention. Try this again. There we go. Ignore my mistake. Okay, Sumi lives 2 miles from school. Valerie lives 10,542 feet from school. Who lives closer? So again, I'm going to want to take her 2 miles and turn that into feet. So 5,280 times 2. $10,560 for Sumi, since she's 2 miles away. So 10,542 is a little bit less than that. So that would mean Valerie lives closer, and your explanation would be that 10,560 is greater than 10,542. Darren is 4 feet 10 inches tall. His brother is 68 inches tall. How many inches taller is Darren's brother than Darren? So I'm going to take, let's see, we want to know inches. So that means I want to take Darren's and turn his into inches. So if he's 4 foot 10, and there's 12 inches in every foot, I would take 4 times 10, 4 times 12 to get 48. Then I add on that extra 10 inches, so that means Darren is 58 inches tall. If his brother is 68 inches tall, that means he's 10 inches taller than him. Let's see. Let's skip ahead and see what our assignment would like us to do, because this is getting kind of long here. Okay. I was wrong. I was thinking that your assignment had some of these charts on it, but looks to me like they're just giving you one measurement that you're going to have to convert. And like I said, if you need to use scratch paper, that might not be a bad idea to do your work on, because they don't give you a lot of room here. But it looks to me, let's see, I don't think they're, at least here, there are any where you're going to have to be working backwards like we did with that one chart. For this, you're going to be multiplying for most of these. But just pay attention to, they do throw a couple mixed numbers at you, where figure out the whole number first, then do the fraction part and add those extras on. Then on the back side, here, same thing, you're going to have to figure out and match which one of the measurements in the orange dots is equal to 24 feet, to 120 inches. So you're going to have to do some math here, and there's only one correct answer for each one match for each number. And by process of elimination, if there's some easier ones that you can see right away, you're going to have to figure out which ones are the correct matches for each other. Then number 18, the Miller's house is 25 yards from Mrs. Shapiro's. How many feet apart are the two houses? So you're going to have to take the 25 yards and convert that to feet. If Kate walks half of a mile to the library, it wants to know how many yards does she walk. So you'll have to know how many yards are in a mile, and we wrote that down on the front. And then if it's half, you'll have to cut that in half. 20, Pei-Ling needs 2 yards of fabric for a craft project. If she has 3 feet, how many inches does she still need? So they've got 3 different measurements that you're using here, and you're going to want to convert all of them to inches so that you know how many inches she needs, how many inches she has, and so then how many are left over. Then you've got 2 vocab words to fill in the blanks with and 1 multiple choice at the bottom.